Okay, we have given our miniatures some time to set up on the bases, and we're going to take a look at them a little more closely here. So first up, we've got the standard Frostgrave miniature base there. Now most of these are 3D prints that didn't quite make it, or things that we may have to find a use for. As you can see, the other thing that happened here is you want to be careful when you're pouring. I had already poured this guy full of plastic way before the base, but if you can see just at the bottom of the base there's that flat plane that I was talking about, where you want to seal all the way in a surface. So this miniature already had a sort of base built in, but it wasn't enough to keep them upright. So that worked perfect for the hard plastic, having that suction of the flat plane there. Alright, next up we had the little gem, and I put on a rubber miniature dragon. These you can also, I think, get at Hobby Lobby. Ended up actually getting the freestanding foot, have some plastic in there, so now we can paint that. It looks like he's holding some sort of gem or magic artifact. But you can see that on the 3 feet that made contact, that they are sort of making a triangle opposite points from the center, and that'll keep them centered on there, even though the chance of it pulling away if it falls is pretty high on that sheer surface, which is why I picked the rubber miniature as well, because it'll bend and bounce and move around, and that'll take some of the pressure away from landing on the part that'll pull off away from the base. Next up, we've got that pool, that black base with a empty space in it and the lip, and I put a little troll in there, and you can see the troll already had a base, and I probably could have added a tiny bit more plastic, just because there is a little bit that goes across the inside of that plate that he's standing on, so it should hold in there just fine. But I also picked this character, because the plastic here, I don't know what it's made of, but it doesn't take paint and doesn't take primer, and it just sort of rejects adhesives and connections, and so it's one that is especially important that a little bit of plastic went over the bridge under its feet, because that'll lock it in place even if the adhesive otherwise wouldn't stick to it. Alright, so this might be my favorite one of the day. The topper worked out amazing, and actually pouring the liquid here with the feet, I lost almost no detail. I'll still be able to paint in much of the detail that's there, and really just worked great for that rock guy there. A lot of these 3D printed ones are from Loot Studios. They do amazing work, and I have a very old and low quality 3D printer, and that doesn't do their prints any service, but we try to make it work just because they're so awesome. So there for the topper, I lost a tiny bit of detail, but really he's doing pretty good and ready to go there. Alright, we've got our poker chip next, and here we've got a tiny 3D printed Oogway from Kung Fu Panda. Now, this actually reminded me / showed me, again, something that you have to watch out for. In 3D printed miniatures, the plastic, just the same thing that did an awesome job. If you see, it's a perfect circle on the base. Those grooves wicked it perfectly in every direction, so it's a very even base. But because the character is 3D printed, that plastic wicked up and made this weird thing. So instead of feet now, he has just sort of this blob that's growing up into him. And that's going to happen with the 3D prints if you don't wait for the plastic to set up enough. If it's still a very liquid state when you put it on there, it's going to wick up into those 3D print lines and inside if the piece is hollow. Which I always print hollow because saves plastic and they get more out of it. Alright, so that was the poker chip. I didn't realize that the lines would go under. In this case, they go all the way out to the edge, so there was a little bit that got under and stuck it to the tray, which that's what the tray is for, and that's fine. But just to watch out for that, if you get too much plastic, you'll glue your minis down. Alright, next up we've got the base that was already mold casted out of the same material. And now the stuff that's poured over his weapon and hands was already there because he 3D printed that axe handle was extremely thin, so I reinforced it with the plastic. But you can't even tell, you can't even tell that is two separate pourings of plastic. It just makes a great makes a great seal there. It allows just a flat plane under the feet. You don't lose any detail. The feet don't sink down in because the base is already solid, obviously. So even though I like some of the other miniatures and bases more, the same plastic, same material is gonna probably have the most reliable connection there to those bases. Alright, we've got our wood base, and I have got a Reaper. Oh, that's good, all my bases held. From their Reaper Online Expo that they did, their box, their promotional box there. It's the six-legged dog, and you can see, I don't know if you can tell it on the camera, but in a ring around each foot, you see the plastic, and then you see the liquid plastic, but then you can also hopefully tell that there is a little ring that looks darkened or oily, and that's where the wood was wicking away that one half of the mixture. So I put on enough because it turned solid still, and that should hold them pretty good onto that wooden base. And last but not least, we had the WizKids standardized base. Got another rubber miniature here, but the cool thing about this is you can see, hopefully, between those 2 feet that the words there helped wick the plastic around, and they'll hold that in place. And over here on the foot, you can also see that lip around the outside did the same thing for the 2 side feet there. So all in all, really pretty cool batch of minis that we've got have now bases that can all get painted up and be used. But that's been a little tips and tidbits how to use your plastics and how the different bases will react to the miniatures getting put on them. I do have a couple of examples here, just things to watch out for. So this is Drift, and what happened here is he's very raised up, he's a little bit falling over, and that's because I poured the plastic too quickly and it pushed the miniature away from where I needed him to be. And likewise, this one you can see underneath where her 2 feet sunk down in. I didn't have her properly, if I'm pouring a base around a miniature's feet, I tend to like to hold the miniature with like a clamp or even like clothespins or little paper clips or things like that, just to help steady them. And in this case, the miniature fell over in the liquid plastic, and it pushed her feet all the way down and all the way forward into that base. Whoa. So that's something to watch out for too, that if your liquid plastic is too liquid, that your miniatures can sink down into it. So, alright, this has been all of the things you need to know about bases and basing. Not making bases, not basing like with flocking and stuff. That is a whole other video for a different day. But putting basic bases on basic miniatures, basically, now you have it. Alright, so just a quick note, if you like the materials that we're doing, videos that we're doing, please support us on Patreon if you can. All the art stuff takes materials, and we actually are coming up to running out of the thermoset plastic. That's going to be our first thing. There's a couple of paints that are running out, and all that means is until the funds are there, we will just make videos with what we have. So today we got to talk about bases, and next time it'll be another topic. So thanks for partying, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Internet.